It was nearly 3 in the morning. Salim sat in his room, surrounded by a mess of scattered papers. Around the bed, a cold cup of coffee had been standing on the table for hours. His face showed pale exhaustion, and his eyes were worn out. Sleep had abandoned him years ago. The dark circles under his eyes were deep, and his head leaned to the side, as if it couldn't bear its weight. His eyes were fixed on a point that didn't exist, lost in a void filled with thoughts and a strange feeling inside him. The air grew heavier as the night dragged on. He was neither asleep nor awake, stuck in that gray state that happens just before consciousness leaves. He threw himself onto the bed, as if running from something, not searching for comfort. His body surrendered to the sheets, but his face still held tension. Lying on his back, one eye half open, resisting the sleep that wanted to claim him. The light in the room was very dim. A faint glow seeped through the window, leaving a gray line on the wall. Each breath he took was slower than the last, but the feeling of something in the room kept growing. The place was too quiet, and the silence felt like someone else's presence, someone who wasn't there. Salim lay on his back, stiff, eyes half open. The calm was heavy, not just silence, but a pressure on his chest. Everything in the room seemed frozen, waiting for something to happen. The door in front of him began to move slowly. The hinge made no sound, but the sense of danger was clear. A black shadow began to creep in through the doorway, sliding across the floor with an eerie grace, like a being with intention. The air grew colder, and darkness deepened. Salim's features began to change. His eyes struggled to move. Tiny drops of sweat appeared on his forehead. Inside, his body screamed, but no sound came out. The thing that entered was closer than ever before. Suddenly, a shape formed clearly in front of him. A strange entity. Its color was pale yellow, skin unnatural, like dry, cracked peel. Its face was terrifying, constantly shifting, yet its head remained constant. Long snakes twisted slowly around each other, coiling on top of Salim's chest. A heavy weight pressed down. His chest rose and fell with difficulty, every breath a struggle. All his senses screamed, but his body could not respond. Then, without warning, his hand moved, like an internal explosion. He shoved the entity with all his strength, not by choice but instinct. The weight lifted, and Salim fell from the bed, tumbling to the floor. He didn't think, didn't look back, and ran as fast as he could toward the second door at the end of the corridor. He could hear the creature chasing him, its voice a terrifying, inhuman scream, like it came from beneath the ground. As soon as he exited, he stopped suddenly, sensing strange air and a cold, unlike anything he'd known. He looked around. Walls, floor, even the smell. It wasn't his home. He was in an endless corridor, surrounded by images of terrifying, strange entities. He wandered, unsure where to go, and entered a room without thinking, just to hide. The lighting was dim, the walls unfamiliar, and the air heavy with the choking smell of dust. On the floor lay a white sheet of paper. He approached, trying to control his fear. The words were clear. "Do not hide here, this is the room of the Jasoom." He froze, eyes locked on the paper, trying to understand who wrote it. Between doubt and fear, he heard a soft sound coming from the door. Without thinking, he dove under the bed. His body trembled, breaths ragged, trying to muffle any noise. The floor was covered in dust, darkness suffocating beneath the bed. He saw legs moving. It was the Jasoom, standing at the door, sensing him. Suddenly, something dragged Salim from under the bed. He saw nothing but darkness. Whispers and close breaths surrounded him. It felt as if a being stood beside him, unseen, pushing him away. The smell was terrible. Old rot. This place was a sealed tomb for years. Salim lay on cracked tiles, dust swirling with every breath. His eyes adjusted to the darkness. Around him, strange yellow hands, dry and twisted, reached from every direction. Though not yet grasping him, they began to close in, forming a circle. Above him, countless faces, all similar, not human, stared without blinking, waiting for him to move. Suddenly, the faces began to speak in unison in a harsh, venomous voice. "Salim, wake up. Salim, wake up." Then everything vanished, leaving a single, familiar, warm yet anxious voice. "Salim, wake up." Salim opened his eyes, gasping, drenched in sweat. It was just a nightmare. His mother stood beside him, worried. "You were dreaming," she said softly. "Don't worry, it's just a dream," he replied, calming himself. He slowly sat up, hand on his chest, grateful he had escaped the nightmare. He drank some water, catching his breath, knowing he would go without sleep for days. Every time he closed his eyes, the Jasoom waited, the reason he stayed awake until exhaustion overtook him. He knew the moment would come again. He would resist, fight against sleep until it finally overtook him, taking him back to the dream that never ends.